Welcome back to Literature Guide. This video is about literary terms and their inventors in English literature. This video is going to be very interesting and useful for every student of English literature because this video will give them important information about various literary terms employed in English literature and literary criticism and theory. When a student of English literature tries to understand any concept, they should be acquainted with all these literary terms related to English drama, poetry, rhetoric and theatres. I have tried to cover all the major literary terms in English literature and their inventors because so many times the questions are often asked to the students in various exams about these literary terms and about the people who coined these literary terms. I have made this video on purpose because I know most of the students do not have sufficient study material on this particular topic. I have made this video for every student of English literature. I have already made many videos on different topics of English literature. It is only because of the support of my viewers I am standing here. I am very much thankful to all my viewers, subscribers and non-subscribers because without them this channel does not exist. So thanks for your support and your guidance, and if you have any suggestions you can put your comment in the comment box below so that I can produce good content for you in future also. I don't want to waste your time. Let's dive into the video and enjoy the video.
Literary terms and their inventors. Theatre of Absurd, Martin Nestlin in his essay The Theatre of the Absurd in 1961. Affective Fallacy, W. K. Wimsatt and Monroe C. Beardsley, their work Verbal Icon, in 1954. Affective Stylistics, Stanley Fish in his essay Literature in the Reader, Affective Stylistics in 1970. Ambiguity, Plurisignation, William Empson in Seven Types of Ambiguity in 1930. Anxiety of Influence, Harold Bloom in The Anxiety of Influence in 1973. American Renaissance, F. O. Matheson in his critical work American Renaissance in 1941. Angry Young Men, Leslie Paul in his autobiographical account Angry Young Man in 1951. Anti-Mask, Ant-Mask, Ben Jonson. The Great Awakening, 1735 to 1750, Jonathan Edwards. Arga Saga, Terence Blacker in Publishing News in 1992. Art for Art's Sake, Victor Cousin. Belatedness, Harold Bloom in The Anxiety of Influence in 1973. Black Mountain Poets, Donald Allen. Bathos, Alexander Pope in a mock critical treatise The Art of Sinking in Poetry in 1727. Beat, Herbert Hunk. Beat Generation, Jack Kerouac. Bildungsroman, Johann Carl Simon Morgenstern. The Blank Generation, used by American media for the novelists in 1980s. Carnivalization, Mikhail Bakhtin in Problem of Dostoevsky's Poetics in 1929 and Rabelais and His World in 1965. Cockney School, John Lockhart in Blackwood's Magazine in 1817. Cora, Julia Christopher. Conservative, John Wilson Crocker in the Quarterly Review in 1830. Contact Zone, Mary Louise Pratt. Cultural Materialism, Raymond Williams. Curtal Sonnet, Gerard Manley Hopkins in Preface to Poems in 1918. Cyberspace, Virtual Space, William Gibson. Decorum, Horace. Dadaism, Hugo Ball. Difference, Jacques Derrida in Of Grammatology. Deep Structure and Surface Structure, Noam Chomsky. Defamiliarization, Victor Shklovsky in his essay Art as Technique in 1917. Discours Histoire, Émile Benveniste in his essay Problème de linguistique générale in 1966. Dissociation of Sensibility, Thomas Stearns Eliot in The Metaphysical Poets, 1921. Physical Distance, Edward Bullocks. Dub Poetry, Linton Kwesi Johnson. Drab, Clive Staples Lewis in his work English Literature in the 16th Century in 1954. Death of Instinct, Sigmund Freud. Dystopia, John Stuart Mill. Ecocriticism, William Rooker in 1978. Egotistical Sublime, John Keats in his letter to Richard Woodhouse on the 27th of October 1818. Euphuism, John Lilly in The Anatomy of Wit in 1578. English Utilitarianism, John Biddle. Ethnoscapes, Arjun R. Pardure. Elan Vital, Vital Impulse, Henry Bergson. Fanzines, by Russ Chauvenit, a great fan of science fiction in 1941. The Fantastic, Zvetan Todorov in his work Introduction à la littérature fantastique in 1970. Ficelle, Puppet Strings, Henry James. Foregrounding, Jan Mukarovsky. Four Ages of Poetry, Thomas Love Peacock. Flat and Round Character, Edward Morgan Forster in his work Aspects of the Novel in 1927. Folklore, the term introduced by William J. Toms in an article in the periodical Athenaeum in 1846. Fleshly School of Poetry, Robert Buchanan under a pseudonym Thomas Maitland in the Contemporary Review in 1846. Fabulation, by Robert E. Scholes in the Fabulators in 1967. Generative Grammar, Noam Chomsky in Syntactic Structures. Gestures, Bertolt Brecht. Golden, Clive Staples Lewis. Grand Style, Matthew Arnold in On Translating Homer. Grand Narratives, Jean-François Lyotard. Grundyism, Extreme Moral Rigidity, Thomas Morton. Gonzo Journalism, Hunter S. Thompson. Gothic, John Giorgio Vasari. The Gilded Age, Mark Twain and C. D. Warner. Hegemony, Antonio Gramsci. Heteroglossia, Mikhail Bakhtin. High Comedy, George Meredith in The Idea of Comedy. Horizon of Expectations, Hans Robert Josse. Illocutionary Act, John Langshaw Austin in How to Do Things with Words. Implicature, Herbert Paul Grice. Implied Author, Wayne Clayson Booth in The Rhetoric of Fiction in 1961. Implied Reader, Wolfgang Iser in The Implied Reader in 1974 and The Act of Reading. Imagined Communities, Benedict Anderson. Id, Ego, Superego and Libido, Sigmund Freud. Individuation, Carl Gustav Jung. Inscape and Instrus, Gerard Manley Hopkins. Infrahistoria, Francis Gumer. Imagism, Hilda Doolittle and Ezra Pound. Intentional Fallacy, W. K. Wimsett and Monroe C. Beardsley in Verbal Icon in 1954. Intertextuality, Julia Kristeva in her two essays The Bounded Text and Word Dialogue and Novel in 1966. Ideogrammic Method, Ezra Pound. Incremental Repetition, Francis Gumer in The Popular Ballad. Jabberwocky, Lewis Carroll. Jungle English, Dolichologia, Sir Alan Patrick Herbert. Transposition, Sigmund Freud in relation to intertextuality. Lake Poets or Lakers, Francis Jeffrey in the Edinburgh Review. League of Nations, G. L. Dickinson. Leitmotif, Leading Motif, Hans von Wolzogen. Literariness, Roman Jacobson. Literati, Robert Burton. Lost Generation, by Gertrude Stein for the writers during the First World War. Magic Realism, Franz Rowe. Maker, poet, Sir Philip Sidney in his work Defense of Poetry. Malapropism, Richard Brinsley Sheridan in The Rivals. Melting Pot, Israel Zangwill. Relative Autonomy, Louis Althusser. Metalanguage, Roman Jacobson in Linguistics and Poetics. Metaphor and Metonymy, Roman Jacobson in his work, Two Aspects of Language and Two Types of Aphasic Disturbances. Metatheatre, Lion Label. Modernismo, Ruben Dario. Marginalia, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Mirror Stage, Jacques Lacan. Muckrakers, Theodore Roosevelt borrowed from John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress in disparaging sense. The Movement, J. D. Scott in 1954. The Morality of the Slave, Friedrich Nietzsche. Negative Capability, John Keats in a Letter to George and Thomas Keats. Negritude, Aimé Césaire and L.S. Senghor. Nihilism, Ivan Turgenev in his work Fathers and Sons. New Woman, Maria Louise Romé. Newspeak, George Orwell. Nation Language, Kamau Braithwaite. Objective Correlative, Thomas Stearns Eliot in his essay Hamlet and His Problems in 1919. Orature, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Organic Form, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Oedipus Complex, Sigmund Freud. Pathetic Fallacy, John Ruskin in his work Modern Painters in 1856. Poetic Justice, Thomas Rhymer in his work, The Tragedies of the Last Age Considered produced in 1678. The Problem Plays, Frederick S. Boas in his work Shakespeare and His Predecessors in relation to Shakespearean problem plays. Problem plays, Sidney Grundy used this term in relation to intellectual drama of the 90s in disparaging sense. Projectivism, Charles Olson. Prolet Cult, Alexander Bogdanov. Purple Patch, Horace in Ars Poetica. Pandemonium, John Milton. Panopticon, Jeremy Bentham. Pantisocracy, Samuel Taylor Coleridge and Robert Southey. Provincializing Europe, Dipesh Chakrabarty. Pantheist, John Willard Toland. Pylon Boys, Cyril Connolly. Robotics, Isaac Asimov in a series of stories published in Astounding Science Fiction in the 1940s. Satanic School, Robert Southey in his work, A Vision of Judgment in 1821. Stream of Consciousness, William James in his work, Principles of Psychology in 1890. Sublime, Longinus. Superrealism, Guillaume Apollinaire. Structure and Texture, John Crow Ransom. Sturm und Drang, Storm and Stress, Friedrich M. W. Klinger. Subaltern, Antonio Gramsci. Speculative Fiction, Robert A. Heinlein. Synesthesia, Perceiving Together, Jules Millett. Subjective Idealism, Johann G. Fichte. She Tragedies, Nicholas Rowe. Superman, Friedrich Nietzsche. Simulacrum, Jean Baudrillard. Survival of the Fittest, Alfred Russel Wallace. Tabloid, Lord Northcliffe in the Daily Mirror. Tabula Rasa, John Locke. Tenor and Vehicle, Ivor Armstrong Richards. Tension, Alan Tate. 10-Year Test, Cyril Connolly. Theatre of Catastrophe, Howard Barker. Theatre Laboratory, Jerzy Grotowski. Theatre Libre, André Leonard Antoine in 1887, Paris. Theatre of Cruelty, Antonin Artaud. Theatre of Oppressed, Augusto Boal. Theatre of Panic, Fernando Arrabal. Theatre of Silence, Theatre of the Unspoken, Jean-Jacques Bernard. Third Theatre, Untitled, Eugenio Barber, founded in 1964. Third Culture, Frank Raymond Lewis. Third Space, Edward Soja. Touchstone, Matthew Arnold in the Study of Poetry in 1880. Tropism, Natalie Sirote. Tumbling Verse, James VI, Scotland. Unanimism, Jules Roman. But picture a pieces, as painting so is poetry, Horace. The Uncanny, Sigmund Freud. Utilitarianism, Jeremy Bentham. University Wits, George Saintsbury. Jungle English, Dolicologia, A.P. Herbert. Verismo, Giovanni Vega. Well-made plays, Eugene Scribe. Welt Literature, World Literature, Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Wertherism, Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Womanism, Alice Walker in her novel Color Purple. Xanaduism, John Livingston Lowes.
I think you liked the video. I have made many videos for you on many topics of English literature. I am working on many topics of English literature so that you can get some help from my videos. I am producing this content for you, not for anybody. Without your support, this channel is nothing. It doesn't exist. You must have studied reader response theory. That's why I am saying this particular thing. I am very much thankful to all my subscribers and non-subscribers and hope you will support this channel in future also. I will meet you soon with a new and interesting topic on English literature. Meet you.
Please subscribe Literature Guide.